ending we don't know. But the forest is silent, the river's running low, and the flame on our plates is the strongest fire we throw. Put out the fire, put out the fire. Echoes and rise, this is your hour. 7 boundaries broken, the earth pushed past the line. Climate, land, species, fresh water, chemicals, nutrients, oceans in decline. Not danger, disaster in real time. Put out the fire, put out the fire. Metafoodians rise, this is your power. And here in India, one truth stands the same. Milk is not just milk, dairy feeds the flame. Cows and methane, fields and forests turn to grain. Politics, culture, carbon, all wired to the same chain. Every cup of curd is heat in the air, every block of butter is a forest repair. It's not a small habit, it's a planetary affair. Put out the fire, put out the fire. Echoes and rise, this is our hour. Energy fixes half the hurt, Dr. Rao made that clear. But food fixes the other half, the half that's burning here. Change the plate, change the land, change the future's atmosphere. Put out the fire, put out the fire. Metafoodians unite, this is your choir. Every millet, every fruit, every sapseed, every bean is water on the wildfire of a world we've never seen. Every oil-free bite is a river turning clean. This is not perfection, it's direction. Not pressure, but protection. A week of choices can cool a generation. A company's courage can ignite a nation. Put out the fire, put out the fire. Echoes and rise, this is your hour. Metafoodians unite, Metafoodians ignite, sharing love in the metazone, light in the path to a cooler home. Put out the fire, put out the fire. Together we rise, together we inspire.
Welcome to the Planet B podcast, where truth, transformation, and faith converge. Join us as we flip the script on ecological despair, guided by Dr. Sailesh Rao's vision for a compassionate, rewilded vegan world. Let's begin the journey to the greatest transformation in human history.
Hi, everyone, and welcome to episode 24 of the Planet B podcast, Overcoming the Dairy Deception. Dr. Rao, we're doing it once again.
I remember when I gave up milk, I was not sure that I could do it. But a week later, I realized it was not that hard at all. I can do this. It's not a problem. And I
Right.
had this huge feeling of guilt lift off my shoulders. So I remember that very vividly.
So let's start with this. Another just a great quote at the beginning of this chapter.
Yeah. It's by Jennifer Schiaverini. She said, "Deception by an omission of the truth is as bad as a lie. In fact, someone else had said, and I didn't put that in, it's much stronger. And they had said, a partial truth is the cowardliest of lies. Basically, when you tell a partial truth and you drill it into people's heads so that they think it's the only source of something, you're lying to people, but you can say you didn't lie. You can sleep at night saying, I didn't lie at all. I just told them that
Yeah.
calcium is found in milk, which is true. When you drill that into people's heads over and over, children begin to think that calcium is only found in milk. So, which means if you want calcium, and if you have a calcium deficiency, go drink milk. There are plant foods that have more calcium than dairy, and there are plant foods that have less calcium than dairy. So, calcium is abundant in plant foods. Dr. John McDougall said there has never been a calcium deficiency. Okay, so if you eat enough food on a natural diet, you will get enough calcium.
Right.
So that's the foundational truth on planet B.
Right at the beginning of your chapter, you highlight that the foundational myth on planet A, calcium is only found in dairy foods. And then the foundational truth on planet B, just as you stated, if you eat enough calories, you will get enough calcium.
It's if you eat enough calories on a natural diet. So this is why Dr. John McDougall said you will never find in hospitals people with calcium deficiency, even though they were eating enough food. Okay? You'll only find calcium deficiency in population where people are hungry.
What is calcium? It's something we hear, it's a word we hear a lot about, but people who aren't so well versed in nutritional terminology, we just know we need it. And we hear on a planet A these silly commercials about, milk, but what is it and where is it found and how does it improve our well-being?
Calcium is a mineral and it is used to construct bones in our body. So calcium carbonate is the basic structure of bones. And we need calcium to grow strong bones. But milk is not a very good source for that, mainly because milk is also acidic. So when you take acidic food in your body, the body has to neutralize it. Okay? Unless you take enough alkaline foods to neutralize it yourself, the body will leach the calcium from the bones because that is alkaline in order to neutralize the acid in the food. So this is why those who consume the most dairy have the most osteoporosis.
Wow.
So it's the opposite of what the milk industry has been drilling into our heads.
Right.
Yeah. They took their weakness and turned it into a strength, which is, great marketing tool to do that. But you're just deceiving people.
And how are these different ways that on planet A, our society has been led to believe this false myth of, cow's milk being this essential thing to get calcium?
Well, the idea of associating milk with calcium and then calcium with bones. So then, milk becomes good bones. Milk, it does the body good. I mean, all these marketing techniques that were used, trying to associate milk as a healthy food for human beings. Now, cow's milk has been used as a medicine in the past because it has certain medicinal qualities. Thousands of years ago, it used to have medicinal qualities, and it was a way to deliver fat-soluble medicine to people because it had fat in it, right? Anything that's medicine, when you take it in excess, will become poison. And it is not a food. See, cow's milk is a lactation secretion of a mammal who is 5 times our size, designed to make a baby grow from calf to cow in 18 months. Human babies grow from baby to adult in 18 years. There is a factor of 50 to 60 already there, right? How fast the cows need to grow compared to human beings. At our fastest growth pace, as a baby, that's when we grow the fastest. why would you take something, a fluid that can make your body grow 50 to 60 times faster than it ever needs to grow, and consider that to be good food? It's the wrong fuel for our body.
And what are some of the side effects? Like the medical industry is coming more forward, and there's more research going into the toxic effects of cow's milk. What are some of those toxic effects?
Oh, I used to have severe inflammation throughout my body. I had arthritis at the age of 40. I used to have sinus problems all the time. So it was common for me to have cold, and I used to take, so they said it was allergies. They gave me antihistamine. They were giving me painkillers for my arthritis. So I was taking painkillers on a daily basis and taking antihistamines, whenever I had the symptoms. And once I gave up cow's milk, they all disappeared. I mean, 100% cleared out. No
So simple.
arthritis whatsoever. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. And I rarely get colds these days. So it was always a reaction to drinking cow's milk, and I didn't know that. They call it lactose intolerance. It
Right.
literally is your body telling you this is not food, right? For the majority of people on earth, our body tells us this is not food.
Once we go to the doctor with our arthritis or inflammation, why is the doctor not asking us if we drink cow's milk and instead just offering us a prescription to try to mask the issue?
Well, they're taught that. They're taught,
Mm.
if you have these symptoms, deal it with this medicine. Okay? So they basically taught how to deal with symptoms. They don't do a lot of root cause analysis. If you think about how the modern healthcare system works, the doctor doesn't get paid if they spend more time with the patient. They get paid per visit, incentivized to get that patient out there as quickly as possible. Becomes
Like
an
a
assembly line.
drive-through. It's
Yes,
like, yeah,
exactly.
yeah, it's like a drive-through.
Yeah, because then you don't ask questions, you don't go and get to know people and figure out exactly why these problems are happening to them. So a true doctor-patient relationship would involve knowing what the patient is going through, so you understand the lifestyle reasons why they're getting these problems.
Something that we're hearing more about now is lactose intolerance, and how the research is showing that it's affecting a tremendous percentage of the global population. So can you share a little bit about that?
First of all, the framing itself is wrong in the sense that this is normal behavior. A mammal's body is
Right.
not supposed to digest mother's milk after we are weaned from the mother.
Hmm.
Okay, we're not supposed to digest this. So it's actually lactose normal behavior in our body. This is why the
Right.
vast majority of human beings have this so-called problem. It's not a problem, right? You're not supposed to be drinking milk as an adult. It's the other small percentage that can digest cow's milk. They are the abnormal ones, because they got some kind of genetic alteration, because they were probably forced to rely on it for a long time. And slowly our genes adapt, saying, oh, if this is all I get, I better figure out how to deal with this.
Sounds like a world turned upside down.
Exactly. It's a world turned upside down when we say there is lactose intolerance in people. And the vast majority of people in the world have this normal behavior, which is that they cannot digest lactose after they're adults.
Do you think that cow's milk is, in the sense that it's used to raising a cow so fast, and cows get so much bigger than us at such a young age? There's something with cancer cells as well.
Well, it's been repeatedly established that the protein in cow's milk, casein, is extremely good at growing cancer cells.
Mm.
Okay. So cancer cells love that protein. They pick that up and multiply like crazy. Dr. Colin Campbell has done a lot of experiments, and he has published about it, showing how just increasing the amount of animal protein, especially casein, beyond 20% in terms of calories is sufficient to accelerate cancer cell growth exponentially. And it doesn't happen when you increase plant protein to beyond 20%. It's not just the growth hormones, the protein itself can make your cancer cells grow. And then you add to that the growth hormones and you just pump it up. What is amazing is the human body is so good at overcoming these bad fuel you're putting into your body. And some are still working, right? I mean, we design cars, and if you in the car, if you go put the wrong fuel, it can break down and die. It won't work anymore. But the human body tolerates it for years.
In chapter 24, you highlight that not only is calcium found in cow's milk, but so is what you call a pus bath. Can you share a little bit about the acronym of pus bath?
Well, pus bath is an acronym for pus, urine, stools, blood, antibiotics, toxins, and hormones. And they are all found in every drop of cow's milk on the market, pretty much every drop. Because cow's milk is it's not no longer a relationship between a cow and a human being. It's a relationship between a herd of cows and a human being. Because cow's milk gets all mixed up in the supply chain.
Right.
So it doesn't come from just one cow. It comes from multiple cows. In fact, a mixture of cows and buffaloes, all put together. Right. And then when you mix it all up, there will be some cows that have mastitis. In fact, the percentage of cows with mastitis is it's an infection of the udder. And that comes when you stick a machine on an udder and suck every little drop, every last drop of milk from a cow. The udder gets inflamed. And so that inflammation leads to pus coming out of it, the udder. Now, you're not supposed to have pus cells. But the government realizes that pus cells are inevitable in cow's milk. So they put a limit on how much pus cells can be there in cow's milk. And different countries have different limits. The US, it's like 4.4 million pus cells per teaspoon.
What?
Yeah. 4.4 million pus cells per teaspoon of milk. In Europe, it is 2.4 million pus cells per teaspoon.
It's disgusting.
Usually the limits are not told in terms of teaspoon. They tell you in terms of cubic centimeters.
So, yeah, something we can't understand. Yeah.
So I translated it to teaspoon so people understand what the heck is going on, because everybody knows what a teaspoon is.
Right.
Yeah, it's 4.4 million pus cells per teaspoon in the US, 2.4 million pus cells per teaspoon in Europe. In Australia, there is no limit. And India is somewhere in between.
It's bizarre.
Next is urine. I mean, the living conditions for cows are such that they're lying in their own urine, they're lying in their own stools. And when they get milked, they're supposed to be washed and then milked, right? But the washing is not always perfect. Who's going to check all this? So you just say, okay, it's a fact of life. There's going to be a little bit of urine in your milk. And there's a little bit of stools in your milk. So that's where the urine and stools come from. And of course, blood, because mastitis, inflammation leads to blood coming into the milk. If it's not a machine, if it was a calf, the calf and the cow, they have a relationship. So if her udder is inflamed, the calf won't take from that teat. It'll go take from another teat. But machines don't know. They just go for it.
There's something in a mother's milk can sense kind of what the calf or a mother and a child, what that child needs at that time. Could you share a little bit more about that?
Yeah, it's an amazing relationship between a mother and a child through the udder, and I think it happens in every mammal. It's not just in cows. So actually, it was studied in human breast milk. Basically, the mother's breast senses if the baby has any kind of infection and then produces antibiotics for that infection in the milk. So the mother is constantly supplying the necessities for the child to thrive. And I'm pretty sure the exact same thing is going on between the calf and the cow, but we haven't studied it yet.
So in this current Planet A system, pretty much every dairy farm, the calf is separated from the mother and then milked continuously. And we could only imagine the, as you put here, the toxins, the hormones, and then of course the antibiotics that are fed to that mother cow. But the stress that that mother cow must be feeling in that state and all of the toxins that are coming out of the body because of that, I mean, we can't even fathom, really.
Absolutely, yeah. But it's all there in the milk that we are consuming. It's a system that has gone way past its use by date, you know.
Yeah.
We have to basically stop that because we know that it is unhealthy for us, is unhealthy for the animals, is unhealthy for the planet in every way we see it. And to me, it is the foundation. Dairy is the foundation of the entire pathologies on planet A. Okay, all the planetary scale pathologies come from dairy as the foundation because it's only through dairy that you're able to provide cheap beef at McDonald's, at Burger King, at Wendy's, at all these fast food outlets. Where does the beef come from? It comes from dead mothers in the dairy industry because these mothers are all paid for by the dairy consumer. So they've been raised to a certain age and they are now all paid up, which means they become cheap beef. Whereas if you have to raise a cow just for the meat, the consumer of the meat has to pay for the entire cow. That's why steak is so expensive. And steak is flesh of a cow who's 18 months old. And you cannot eat the flesh of a cow who's 5 years old or 6 years old directly. You have to basically tenderize it, grind it up, and disguise it. And that's what hamburgers are.
So how do we get this message out, all of humanity, if they truly understood what was happening to these cows and what was in the milk and what it did to our health and the implications for cancer and you discussed this in the previous chapter, how carcinogenic it is. You said maybe the greatest carcinogen. No one, of course, would drink it. But how can we get this message out in a better way?
Well, we have to keep doing what we are doing now. To me, it is not knowing was one of the reasons why I was continuing to drink milk. So I think back, how I was before I quit drinking milk. I had bought into all the stories that I was told. This is necessary for your well-being. The government is telling you this. So the government is involved in this, in pushing dairy on people. I mean, literally, they're drug dealers, these governments. So they have to support the dairy industry because without the dairy industry, the entire thing falls apart.
Yeah.
This is why every national government around the world is promoting dairies. They're dairy pushers, literally. Yeah. Then the diabetes industry grows, the healthcare industry grows, the economy grows, the GDP grows, and everybody is happy because they have jobs to do. We have created a system in which we are constantly breaking things, including our health, and we are fixing them. So governments are involved in this, promoting dairy through schools, putting it in textbooks, saying that calcium is found in dairy foods. So this way, everybody thinks you have to drink dairy foods, otherwise you won't get your calcium.
All right.
So they keep associating that milk is healthy when it's the exact opposite. A lot of people get diarrhea. Children who cannot digest lactose because they have already weaned from their mother. They are being fed dairy and they're uncomfortable, they're fidgety, they have to go to the restroom all the time. And then we blame them for not doing well in school.
It's a world turned upside down. There's no other way to say it.
Right. Planet B is the world turned right way up, which is why I'm glad that the latest food pyramid from the US is an upside down pyramid. So they basically admitted planet A is upside down.
That is great. Oh my
Yeah.
goodness. Could you share a little bit about the Cow Mother's Day, part of Climate Healers?
Tammy Hay and the Million Vegan Grandmothers are organizing an International Calf and Cow Mother's Day on Mother's Day 2026. To honor the mother-child bond of every species. So the calf and cow are a symbol of all mothers and all babies together. It's not only mothers on land, but also mothers in the ocean, mothers that fly in the sky and their children. So celebrating the bond between a mother and a child, it's not just human mothers that we are celebrating. We should be celebrating all mothers. That's the idea. And then bring to light the plight of the mothers in the farming industry. It's not just cows and calves, but also, pigs and their babies are separated. Even dogs and their puppies are separated. Cats and their kittens are separated. So we have an entire system that's built around separating the mother and the child. We want to highlight the mother-child bond of every species. I think it's highly appropriate that the Million Vegan Grandmothers are spearheading this effort.
Yeah. And how can if people listen to this and want to get involved, how can they get involved in the Million Vegan Grandmothers or the International Calf Cow Day?
If you go to climatehealers.org and sign up for our newsletter, and you can check saying join the Million Vegan Grandmothers, and you'll be added to the email list. And the grandmothers meet, and we are organizing around this event for May 12th of this year. So then you'll be on the list that we'll be sending emails on. There's also a Google form that you can submit your artwork. You can set up an event to celebrate this locally and then submit that so that we can highlight that on our social media channels. So you want to create a crescendo of social media news about the mother and the child for Mother's Day 2026.
That's wonderful. So right at the end of chapter 24, you state, it is a test of our intelligence as a species whether we realize that nature has now given us all the resources we need to create a vegan world and thrive along with our fellow earthlings on this planet. It's just a great quote.
Yeah, it is, no? It's like,
Yeah.
Are you a smart species? Are you an intelligent species?
Right.
Do you understand now that you see that the planet has all these pathologies showing up? Do you understand now that you have the power to actually change the life support systems of a planet, which means you own it, take on that responsibility? Because every species has a unique superpower. Nature never put anything in place that didn't have a purpose. So she's saying, okay, now that I've given you a purpose, are you smart enough to fulfill that purpose? And if we are not, she'll wipe us out. She's pretty ruthless that way.
She's straightforward.
But now she's calling us. Basically, I feel the love from Mother Earth, saying, look how beautiful I am, and you can maintain me. And wouldn't that be a great dance between us, humans and Mother Earth, if we could maintain her life support systems and keep her healthy forever? That's the role that we are being called to play. And it's a very important role. And I think it is wise for us to take up that role seriously. And it'll be a sign of intelligence when we do that. If we take that up, I'd say maybe we can call ourselves Homo sapiens, but even then I would say, don't ever call yourself wise. As soon as you say I'm wise, you're no longer wise.
So true. As we wrap up episode 24, is there any closing message you'd like to share with our audience today?
There is a lot that we can learn from the mother-child bond of a cow and of human beings. And why we have to give up dairy is so simple to understand, because we're no longer children. We are all adults. We have to become an adult species. So thank you very much.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Dr. Rao. And again, as always, we encourage everyone to please read the book, There is a Planet B, and it makes these concepts so simple. That's why I love it. And share it with your friends. Of course, share it with people who aren't vegan as well. And hopefully they can learn as to why we're taking this path with Planet B. So thank you all so much for joining us. Next up, episode 25 will be Gaining Independence from Colonialism 2.0. So another very fascinating chapter, and we hope you stay with us for that one too. So thank you all so much. Bye.
This has been a podcast from Planet B, where conscience gets better reception. If you haven't moved here yet, we thank you for visiting.
Go ahead, Rebecca.
Thank you. That was so wonderful. Thank you. A couple of things. One is that I believe that the dairy industry got in so close with the government for advertising early on when we had some rickets in the United States. No, that wasn't just the dairy. They wanted to put vitamin D in it. I think vitamin D helped with rickets, so they put that in the dairy as a way to get vitamin D to people. So then the government just says, well, we'll just advertise for you. Or they didn't say that, but anyway, it came into real close. Is that what you've heard too, or do you know much about that?
Yeah, it's hard to tell exactly how, what followed what and what happened. I mean, I also heard that they were turning milk into milk powder and sending it to the soldiers during Second World War. And as a result, when the war ended, they had this huge infrastructure for making milk and milk powder, and they didn't know what to do with it. So they decided to push it on children. So I don't know, how this happens, but eventually it becomes self-reinforcing and it becomes a vicious cycle in the current system. Yeah, self-reinforcing vicious cycle. Because as more and more people get sick, you want to grow that, because that's a big part of your economy.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
The other thing I want people to know about is I saw a video of the mother cows going to slaughter. And they opened the mother cows and threw the baby into the furnace. Now, that's a horrible picture, and I haven't wanted to say it because it's so horrible. But I started telling people who would ask, or who I felt like I could say that to, and I said about half of them are pregnant. And then I realized it may be more than half, because they're kept pregnant 9 months of the year. And then I don't know how many months they wait before they impregnate them again. So that is a horror that the truth really just needs to be told. And I don't.
Yeah, it's roughly once a year. They become pregnant every year. So
Okay.
Yeah, so they give them 3 months gap.
3 months gap. So yeah, so half of them. That's not an exaggeration to say half of them that are killed for hamburger meat are pregnant.
Or pregnant when they're killed. Yeah, a lot of them are, because what happens is when a cow is pregnant, she produces a lot of hormones in her body, and so that's I think something happens that makes the milk production higher. I don't know how the milk production is higher for cows who are pregnant. Okay, so this is scientifically, they go and study this and they figure out this animal science, right? Well, that's what animal science is all about. But that's why they keep impregnating them over and over. Yeah. You're muted.
Thank you so much.
Barb.
Yeah, continuing on that, I had read that they impregnate the cows on purpose before they send them to slaughter, because the babies they can kind of open up their stomachs, and then the babies can either be fetal bovine serum, which they keep them alive for 20 minutes and drain them of blood in order to have that serum, which also is another horrific thing. But the other thing is fine leather. And I don't know if that's specialized somewhere or if it's your typical slaughterhouse, whether they do that, because I kind of thought the leather industry was separate. So I don't really know how it works. I just heard that.
Yeah. No, a good point. They basically get paid by the weight of the cow. So therefore, making her pregnant increases the weight of the cow.
Wow.
Okay, that's one incentive. When we turn everything into money, this is what happens, right? So, so that's one. Second, you're right. The fetal bovine serum is used in lab-grown meat as the medium to grow lab-grown meat. Yeah. So that's an additional revenue that the industry is getting. So anywhere you can get more revenue, of course they're going to use it. It's just exploitation.
Yeah. I was also going to ask, because you had talked about cows getting pesticides in their bodies from crops. And I wondered if that happens on organic too, because somewhere I heard that organic can use pesticides sometimes, or I'm not certain whether it's pesticides or herbicides, and I don't know if you know that, but I got to get my facts in a row before I tell people things.
Yeah, when I talk about toxins, I'm not talking about just pesticides. It's the 220 billion tons of toxins that we put into the environment from our industrial processes. They're in the water. So they're
That's
in the
right.
water,
That's right.
and they're in every plant. And especially when you take the stalks from crops and you feed it, even if it's an organic crop, it has all that.
Wow.
And if you take the stalks, the so-called crop residues, and feed it to cows, they're going to get a load of it because the plant had to suck water for however long it was living, and every time it sucked water, it was storing all the chemicals it found in its stalk.
Okay.
That's how it gets concentrated there.
Okay. All right. That helped me. I hadn't made all those connections.
Yeah.
All right. Thanks.
Sure. Hello, Sai.
Hi, Dr. Rao. I was just wondering if you can compare the addiction which which non-vegans have to cheese to that of the other addictions like drugs and all, how addictive it is. Like, because we keep saying cheese. I mean, we know that cheese has casein, right? So,
Yeah.
which is concentrated, of course. Yeah. So, but some people argue when I say this fact that when we start eating cheese, especially kids, they'll get addicted to it. They say that, but I have pizza once in a while. So I just wanted to know how to counter that.
Right. No, it is addictive, but it is not as addictive as even cigarette smoke. Okay, so it's not as addictive as cigarettes. Meaning, if you can quit smoking, you can quit cheese. So it's in that if you look at the gradation, it's not as addictive as heroin or something like that. It's like
Of course not, yeah.
less than tobacco smoke is what. Yeah.
Okay.
So Tammy says is 1/10 of heroin.
Okay, that's good.
Joji.
Yeah, so about the stalks, right? The toxins getting accumulated in the stalks. So should one be worried about, for example, broccoli stalks, cauliflower stalks?
Yeah.
They will have.
Yeah, anytime you eat the whole plant, you have to be worried about. I mean, you will get a concentrated dose of it. If you eat the fruit or the vegetable, you'll get less of it because the water has been filtered by the time it got to the fruit or the vegetable. If you eat root vegetables, you have to be more worried about it because it's right there in the root itself.
Oh, right.
But The good news is, it is, even though it is there, it is 1/10 to 1/100 of what you'll get if you consume animal products. Why? Because the animal is eating a whole lot of foods. So think of the 39 to 1 reduction, right?
Right.
You have to give 39 kgs of plant food to get 1 kg of animal food on average. So you will get a 39x concentration of the toxins in the animal food, roughly, because our body is very bad at filtering toxins. It's very slow, meaning it takes 7 years. The half-life is 7 years in the liver. Okay, so and then by the time, you don't eat foods once every 7 years, you're eating it every
Right.
day.
Right.
So it accumulates like crazy
Yeah.
in your system.
Yeah.
And that's what the milk has.
Yeah. And almost right at the beginning, when you're talking about your journey of giving up dairy, you said you were not sure you could give it up or something like that, right?
Right.
So I wonder if you can elaborate on that, because especially among the Indians who are vegetarians and brought up as vegetarians, they find dairy to be a big challenge. And right towards the end, you said we are all people who know what's going on, aware people, and even very sophisticated people who are exposed to even documentaries like Ma Ka Doodh, right? They just somehow don't see it, and it's like totally puzzling for me. It's something in their psyche I think I don't get. So I don't know if you can throw any additional light on it.
It's a little bit like the shopkeeper in Václav Havel's essay, who would go out and put a sign saying, "Workers of the world unite." and he didn't believe it. He really didn't care if they united or not. But he put it up every day in the shop window because that's what he's supposed to do. And everybody else is doing it. So he does it because he doesn't want to be, he doesn't want to make trouble. He doesn't want to be the one that's outside the herd, And people look at it and say, he didn't put it, And so we do it things to get along, like I remember one of our friends, I told him, okay, and he understood. And then he said, well, I can't give it up now because of social pressure, social conditions,
Right.
we go to all our cousins' place, and I don't want to keep explaining to them and so on.
Yeah.
I said, then, how long are you going to wait? He said, maybe until half the people in the world have given it up.
He doesn't count himself in that half.
Right. He wants to be the second half, not in the first half.
Not in the first half. Yeah.
Because he wants to be with the majority.
Right.
Okay.
And a lot of our friends kind of shift the blame to the wives, right? I mean,
Yeah.
And that's even more puzzling for me, that the women folk don't get it, because it's about the relationship between mother and children, and they know how these mothers are being hurt, but they don't feel it, and that's just mind-boggling to me.
Yeah, no, it's fascinating how the human mind works. But when I gave up, okay, I loved my pizza, I loved my curd rice, I loved my doodh pedas. So I thought, my God, I have to give up all that, because for me it was instantaneous. I was eating all of this, and then I went there and I saw what was happening in the forest, and I said, I am a hypocrite if I don't do this. Okay, so I couldn't look at myself in the mirror. And literally, so I said, all right, I'm going to give myself a week. So I knew I could do it for a week. Okay, I'll give myself a week and do it strictly for a week. And I did that. At the end of the week, I realized it's not that hard. Right? Because I was making soy yogurt, and I was eating vegan cheese on pizza. I found that there's vegan cheese, because once I quit, I looked for other things. What would I do instead of peda? And I realized there are lots of other sweets I can eat. It's not pedas are not that special, right? And so at the end of the week, I realized I could do this.
Yeah.
And when I realized I could do this, I had this huge sense of guilt lift off my shoulders.
Yeah.
Okay, which I had been carrying since childhood. Because during childhood, I didn't know why I had this guilt. And I later found out, the memory came back to me. Because when I was a child, my parents used to send all of us to my grandparents' home in Mangalore. And I had gone there, and all the children had come. So all my brothers and sisters, we had all gone there. And my grandmother, I overheard my grandmother tell my grandfather that there is not enough milk for the children. And specifically because this particular male calf was drinking too much, right? And he's not leaving enough milk for the children. So my grandfather told my grandmother, don't let him drink to his fill. Pull him away after 10 minutes. And as a child, I knew that there was something wrong going on.
Yeah.
Okay. But I tried to put it away in the back of my mind and forget about it. And I think I never did. Subconsciously, I knew I was doing something wrong every time. Okay. And I think that's the reason I had arthritis. That's the reason I had sinus problems and all this inflammation, because there's psychosomatic reaction to doing something that's against what you want to do. Right. So that memory I had suppressed. So when I felt that sense of guilt lift off my shoulders, I had no idea of this memory. I had forgotten about it. But then I was observing a woman milk her calf, milk her cow in the village. And so the way she did it was, she first released the calf. The calf was tied in front of the mother. She released the calf. The calf ran and started drinking. And within 30 seconds, she started pulling the calf away from the mother. She couldn't do it because the calf was too strong for her. So she called her husband over, and they both pulled the calf away from the mother. And then she tied the calf in front of the mother, because the calf was only meant to start the process.
Yeah.
Okay. And then the calf was bleating now because he hadn't even started drinking.
Yeah.
So the mother was licking her baby, and then the woman milked, I would say 10 liters. I mean, I could see she milked every teat in the cow's body. And then after she finished, she released the calf again. And the calf ran and now there was nothing there.
Nothing.
But it sends a message to the mother saying, you don't have enough milk for your baby, so produce more next time. Okay, it's part of the process by which we try to get the cow to produce more and more and more. This is the kamadenu, Kamadenu. This is basically interfering in the feedback loop between the mother and the child, and making the child look like she's always not enough, so that the cow produces more and more and more. And this is how we drain her until she cannot produce anymore, and then she dies at the age of 5 or 6. So anyway, when I saw that, this memory came flooding back into my mind. What I had heard from my grandmother and my grandfather. I mean, they were trying to do what they thought was necessary for their grandchildren. But this is how the good people get ensnared in a system. And we wind up constantly going along to get along.
And a lot of our friends, the ethical lacto-vegetarians, they cling to that old image, like when you said that story about your grandparents' home, right? They cling to that old image. Oh, we treated the cow very well, like a member of the family and all that. But even then, like you said, all these tricks were played on the cow, start the process, pull the calf away, then milk her. And then there is no, like you mentioned right at the beginning, there is no ethical lacto-vegetarian, because you would need 16 times the herd, which the earth cannot support. So even though the kids, I mean, when we grew up, we didn't see it happening. The cow was kind of, sold under the table, so to speak,
Right.
when her time is
Absolutely.
over. But now it's just out there in front of us, the horrific things happening in the dairy industry, but they just refuse to see it. And so that is just mind-boggling. I'm just
I
raving here, so
I
sorry.
know. I know. I was there too, so I understand.
Yeah.
Because I was also rationalizing in exactly the same way. Oh, we don't do that, in the villages. We don't do this. Because I knew all these horrific things that were happening in the US when I came here. I said, oh, well, I'll drink because we don't do that there.
Yeah.
There is a way to do it right. I wish they would do it right.
Yeah.
Anyway, this is all mind games we play with ourselves
I know.
yeah, because we want, no one wants to look in the mirror and say you're a bad person, right?
Yeah.
So we come up with rationalizations for what we do.
Right. And if everybody sits around waiting for the other half of the population to change, then it's never going to happen too.
Yeah, this is why I'm so glad that our friend Raju has invited me to speak at YPO in Chennai.
Yeah.
Because IPO has 30,000 so-called leaders. It's the leadership of the planet. Okay, and I'm saying it's the profound lack of leadership that's driving our planet into destruction right now.
Yeah.
So this generation of leadership has two choices: either step it up and solve the problem, or be the generation that lost the planet.
Yeah.
So that's my message to them. We'll see what they say.
I hope it sinks in and changes a lot of hearts and minds, because that's what we need. Yeah. Thank you.
Absolutely. Thank you. Jenny?
Hello. So I was hoping that you could expand on the comment about how some people are like more allergic than others. Because I was thinking about that comment, and I was thinking like, okay, out of me and like 9 childhood friends, 2 of them were like lactose intolerant, where
Jenny,
they would.
you're kind of distorted. Can you?
Oh, okay. Yes. How about now? Is that better? Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So I was just reflecting, and out of like 9 childhood friends, including myself, I recall 2 friends being lactose intolerant. So they would take pills before we had ice cream or something like that. So could you just comment on like where you said like some people's bodies are like, why some people's bodies are able to like quickly identify like the foreign object like milk versus others it's like maybe a little delayed. Like I don't think I'm allergic, but I've also stopped consuming dairy and I feel a lot better. But I never had like I didn't need to take like a pill to reduce the side effects.
Yeah. So in general, all mammals become so-called lactose intolerant as they grow up. That's the signal that tells a baby stop weaning. I mean, to wean, to stop drinking milk. Okay, it's no longer able to digest it. So then it says, okay, I'm done, right? So that's the normal feedback loop between a mother and child in any mammal. Okay. Now, what happened in our case is that those who went to cold climates, Europeans mainly, they probably lacked a lot of food. Okay? They lacked food, especially during winter. And they found that this is something that they could survive on, milk, right? So those who could survive on that lived. And so they built a genetic mutation that allowed them to digest milk. Okay. Now, then, when they have children, the mutation passes on to the child, to some children, so depending on, the parents, if they have mutation or not, you will get it or not. Okay. Now, Now, those who went to warm climates, and you can distinguish who went to warm climates, who went to cold climates based on the color of our skin. The darker our skin, we went to warmer climates because we had to shield ourselves from the sun. It's too much. The skin becomes lighter because you have to absorb all the vitamin D you can get because there's very little sun. Okay? So those who went to warmer climates, they didn't need to drink milk from a cow or anyone once they became adults, right? So mostly they could thrive on just plant foods because there's plenty of it available, typically. Okay, so now the world, if you look at the way it's distributed, look at the lactose intolerance map, you will see that the so-called most lactose intolerance people are in really tropical climates like Africa, and South America and China and subcontinent of India and so on. So the global South is completely, so-called lactose intolerant, and then there's mixture that happens, right? So people migrate and they intermarry, and so then the gene gets passed on to some children and not to other children. So this is how it's kind of spread the way it is now, if that makes sense to you.
Yeah, that makes sense. And then we're basically saying now, because we can ship bananas and fruits and vegetables anywhere across the world, that you don't need dairy for survival.
Correct. We don't need dairy for survival like we did before. And now it is time for us to wean ourselves as a species from our mother cow. Okay, so the cow has basically nurtured us and raised us as a species over the last 10,000 years so that we can grow out of our infant phase. Though there are some adults who behave like infants still, we can grow out of our infant phase and stop fighting with each other and all this nonsense and get on with the job of restoring the life support systems of the planet and maintaining it. Mm. So we have to become a responsible species, right? So that's a sign of maturity as a species. So to achieve that maturity, you have to give up, you have to wean yourself from the mother cow. So to me, it just makes sense. We have to do this.
Thank you.
Thank you. Barb?
Yeah, I was just going to say, I was similar to you, where in my 30s and my 40s, I had the arthritis feeling. I would have the throbbing and all that in my fingers. And I had bursitis in my shoulder and my hip. And I had forgotten about all that because, it's like now we just walk around pain-free, it feels great. But I drank a lot of milk, and I had acne from age 13 to now 53. I went vegan, and it improved a little. I was on Accutane 4 times, and each time it would improve it, and then it would just kind of slip away. And you can see the scars and everything from it. But yeah, after I went vegan, I was hoping that it would clear it all, but it just made it made it a little better. But then I discovered barberries, and barberries actually reduce the sebum in your skin, and there's no side effects like with Accutane where you have to stop after 3 months. So it's like I can just take them all the time, and it's just been such a great thing. So that's a case of a plant being a medicine where nothing else worked, and it's just been super to have that. So I thought I'd share that with you.
Well, thank you.
Mm-hmm.
Danny?
We have a question from Michael. It says, Dr. Rao, others, what do you think it takes to help people overcome the path of least resistance in general, but also specific for overcoming their desire or perceived need for dairy, other animal foods? Education is one part of the equation, but everyone seems to be going with the flow out of a need to feel safe.
Yeah. So, in his Davos speech, Mark Carney said, he actually mentioned this, Václav Havel's essay and the shopkeeper putting the sign out there every day because even though he didn't believe in it, he said, what it takes is for a few of the shopkeepers, maybe one or two, three, to just stop putting it. And then the others say, wait a minute, he didn't put it and nothing happened to him. So why am I doing it? Right? So slowly it grows. So it's important for us to stop putting it, meaning stop consuming dairy. And then, in the shopkeeper's case, remember, it's visible. Other shopkeepers know that he didn't put the sign out there.
Okay.
Right. So we also need to be visible. We need to say we are vegan. Don't hide it. And I'm not drinking this. And look, I don't have any pain. And I overcame my arthritis. Be your joyful self and shine your light in the world. Okay? And then he said the totalitarian system collapses, which happened in Czechoslovakia, by the way. So it collapsed, right? Because a few of the shopkeepers stopped putting the signs, and then eventually people said, "Nah, I'm not going to do this. These guys are, ridiculous. They keep talking about workers of the world unite, and they're looting us blind." So that's how the entire Berlin Wall collapsed and the entire system collapsed. Right? They couldn't control it anymore. So same thing now. It's like the animal agriculture industry is a totalitarian system. Okay, it's a worldwide totalitarian system that's conning us at childhood, and making us eat food that's bad for us, and then farming us into becoming diabetes patients. I mean, it's horrible what's going on, right? It's a totalitarian system, exactly like communism was, right? And so you have to stop putting the sign out, meaning stop consuming their products and stop buying into their nonsense and be visible about it.
It's like the health aspect doesn't really affect people. It's I don't know what gets through to them, because some people are aware and are animal lovers, and they'll feed cows one day and have a glass of milk the next.
Right. Yeah.
And I don't know, what it will get to what will really make them pay attention, like what motivates them to just be a slave to their taste buds.
Remember, it's a process. Transformation is a process. It's not a destination. So even though they do one thing now and then, do the opposite, as if they have cognitive dissonance, the next day, the process is such that over time they'll be doing more and more of the right thing, and then eventually the wrong thing drops off because more and more people are joining the bandwagon. Okay, so think of it as a process as opposed to saying, "Oh my God, they fell off the train and that's it. They have to go back all the way." No, they don't have to go back all the way. They can get up and start doing the right thing again. So transformation is a process. Okay, so I talk about in my book, the new book I'm writing, I talk about it as a programming that we do and a developing that we do. Each one of us become a Planet B developer. And the more we embody Planet B values, the more we show it, right? The more we spread that programming. And this is how the operating system of Planet A is going to become the operating system of Planet B eventually.
Thank you.
Sure. Nancy?
Hi, thank you so much. Just briefly, I've been working with vegan food and vegan businesses, and I've probably talked to a few thousand people at least, and had a chance to really observe and
critically think, and I just loved everything that you said, at least that I heard since I've been here, but I've seen that food is a very, very social experience, and people have a lot of identity. They have a lot of security, and meals are shared. And when you ask someone to step outside of that, I feel like it's not even so much about the food as it is what food means to them. And asking people to like change that is huge, huge undertaking. And
Right.
so, humans, I mean, we're very strange creatures. This planet Earth is a very weird place in many ways, and there's such a wide variety of consciousness when a lot of people are still stuck in a very reptilian consciousness, and there's survival instinct. So it's really important that people know it's healthy. The health message is so important, because if people don't think they're if people and most people still believe that they need to eat animals.
Right.
So the ethical basis, of course, is what grounds us, but they really need to be convinced that. And you were talking too in another one about how important it is that we present that we're upbeat and we're having a good time, and we're not yelling at everybody.
Right.
It's hard to do because sometimes you just want to grab them and go, stop. But anyway, thank you so much. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for not doing it. Yeah. Sai, can I come to you last so then you can continue, right? So go ahead, Danny, and then
Okay,
Rebecca.
this is I think the last question from Michael. Another practical question. The problem I see with dairy is that the case of morphines from dairy and dairy products, people seem to be attached to, such as cheese, bind to the opioid receptors in the brain, trigger dopamine, and the people feel good as a result. The more
Right.
people experience a different kind of suffering, the more they look for anything they can give that can give them momentary pleasure. Any words on this cycle and how to help people cycle outside this cycle?
Yeah. Again, there are experts who know how to um, de-addict people. Okay, psychological experts, and they tell me the best way is tell them it's not. Try it for 1 week, because anyone can do anything for a week. Try it for 1 week. It's like, I dare you to try it for 1 week, something like that, and get them to do just a short term. It's not like for the rest of my life I cannot eat that. Just 1 week, and give them pleasurable other foods, the plant foods that are pleasurable too. So you get a dopamine hit that way, right? And eventually, after a week, then they may want to continue because they feel better in other ways. So that's the way to do it, So, I mean, I know that I also had addictions to cigarette that I had to overcome, and then I written about that in the book. So that it can be difficult if you're not motivated, if you don't have the why. So the why is important, I mean, telling people about how dire the situation is on the planet. The planet is literally on fire, and we have no choice but to do this. And then helping them come along, because we are all part of this same community called planet Earth. Okay? And her life support systems are being stressed. Rebecca?
Thank you, Dr. Rao, and thank you to all the participants and the people online. We're not going to have our normal closing, so I wanted to let people know that we're transitioning. And if Sai has a question, then we'll hear that. But then after that, we'll stop the recording for our reports. And so thank you to all the people watching online.
Thanks, Rebecca. Go ahead, Sai.
Yeah, right. Oh,
I completely resonate with Joji, what all things he said, because I'm going through the same thing, being a lonely vegan, as many of us are lonely in our social circles and our family circles. But to, as you say, that not amplify the negative and amplify the positive. So if I look at it from that way, I was just wondering that, as you once said, many people already know about this. They're not vegan, but they already know why they need to be vegan. So do you think like there's the time where the dam will burst and everyone will, suddenly switch? There's going to be a huge uh, inflow into the vegan movement is what I was wondering. That's one. And also, after this, I wanted to ask about the bovine serum, like how can that be in lab-grown meat, and how can lab-grown meat be called vegan? There's a huge, I think they even call it like $1 billion industry as an alternative to the veganism. Sorry, animal agriculture.
Right, right.
Something like the EVs and solar energy in the burning machine space. Just wanted to
Yeah.
know that.
I mean, lab-grown meat, I'm writing a book, I'm writing a paper with Professor Lisa Barca of ASU, and the title is The Fallacy of Animal Protein Primacy and the Futility of Scaling Lab-Grown Meat. Because
Wow.
to me, the maintaining that fallacy of animal protein primacy is the main reason why they are promoting lab-grown meat. Because if you look at the investments in lab-grown meat, it's all from the meat industry. So the purpose of investing in lab-grown meat is to grow the meat industry, not to substitute for it, not to get rid of it. It's to grow the meat industry. Okay? It's to tell people, the consumers, you don't have to worry about your consumption. And you know that animal protein is so essential for you. And we're going to give you alternatives. Okay? So continue. Technological solution is coming. Okay. Now, unfortunately, the technology solution is not going to come because from an engineering perspective, it is like creating, I used to work in clean rooms for silicon, right? For making silicon chips.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, so imagine those clean rooms, how expensive they were, right? Because even a single thing can come and ruin your chip.
Yes.
Any defect, right? It cause defects. So imagine now, how much silicon do we consume on the planet? How much of these electronic things that we consume in terms of volume? Maybe 2 plates full, maybe 3 plates full per year. How much meat do we consume if you eat it every day? Can you imagine the volume? I mean, how much more are you consuming? Okay. So imagine building that many clean rooms. You think that's going to be cheap? There's no conception of this engineering complexity of this. Okay. And Dr. Milton Mills, he understands. He said, I mean, you're out of your mind if you think you're going to do this. Because, any one defect, so-called defect, you have to throw the entire factory line out because you contaminated the whole line. Okay? And you have to then create you're growing a muscle cell in a lab, right? Or in a factory setting, muscle cells. What do muscle cells, when they grow in your body, what do they need? They need food to come to it. They need the waste to be taken away. They need to be exercised because otherwise they become flabby, right? So you have to constantly exercise them. And so you have to then create an excretory system, a digestive system for the muscle cells. So you cannot give it just broccoli. It's not going to eat the broccoli. You have to digest it and give it to the muscle cell. Okay. And then you have to then take the waste away. And then you have to have an immune system built in. So in case any pathogen comes, you have something that goes and fights it. You have to do that all in
Just to
with
satisfy taste buds.
technology using fossil fuels. Okay, in technology using fossil fuels. So you're trying to recreate an animal, literally, without the animal, right? And they've been trying to do that for decades. And why are they not able to? Well, you can do it in small quantities. Okay, trying to do it in the volume that you need to substitute the animal agriculture industry is impossible on this planet, right? So they also know it. They're not trying to. They're not. That's not their main intent. The main intent is to make you continue buying meat and continue eating it. Continue thinking that you need to eat meat for your survival. So they're continuing, they want to continue the deception, their con job that they're doing. So I say it's a totalitarian system. The animal agriculture industry is a totalitarian system. And we have to basically free ourselves from it, the totalitarian system. And it's a system that you can free yourself from 3 times a week, 3 days a week, 3 times a day. So.
And they're trying to replicate milk also with precision fermentation, by the way.
For what? For what? Did you think milk is so desirable as a food? I already told you it's not a food.
Yeah, I know.
Right?
Yeah,
So
for me personally, even to the very thought of replicating animal food itself is disgusting to me, actually.
Right.
Why would you want to replicate meat and milk?
I asked one of those who are involved in the industry, why are you making, if you really want to make meat that is optimum for human consumption, why are you making animal meat? Why don't you make human meat? Because it has exactly the same amino acid profile as human muscles. So it'll be the best at meeting all your efficacy tests. And you don't have to cannibalize people. You're just doing it in the lab. And he said, oh, it's disgusting. I said, well, if you think it's disgusting, that's speciesism. Right? Yeah. Anyway. Thanks for your patience.
And if you can answer the first one, if we have time.
Which one?
Like many people.
Oh, yeah. You were
usually flex at some point where everyone will transition.
Oh,
Is that what's going to happen?
So I believe that the transition in this case will be like a sigmoidal function. It's like one fine day they'll say, that's it.
Yeah.
It's no longer the right thing to do. Right? It's like a sigmoidal because it involves a large number of people. I think of it like, it's a nonlinear system which has built up tremendous pressure because it wants to go to the other phase, the other stage, that the other stable state, but it's being held in this state by force. Okay, it's like bottling a volcano, literally. And
going to burst something.
Yeah. It'll be an sigmoidal function. Just suddenly go to the other state. And that becomes the normal. And then people who are left behind are going to look like, they are the laggards. So I really believe that the slope of the function is going to be much steeper.
Okay. Got it.
Because of the number of years it's been held down and because of the force with which it's
been exactly.
Yeah.
I look at it like because of the number of years people know about veganism and still they don't transition. They know everything. What all is there? What all the violence happens in the industry? Everything. Yeah, that we are the only species which think the other species milk and all this stuff we know, right. But they don't transform.
It's a system. It's a systemic issue. So this is why Planet B is so important. To me, I'm writing this guide to Planet B, which explains in more detail about why you have to instantiate a different operating system on the planet.
So that's the Planet B handbook.
It's a guide to Planet B. Yeah, it's a handbook.
Okay. more practical oriented, I suppose.
Correct.
Okay.
All right.
Thank you.
Carry on with your project update. So thank you very much for being here.
Sure.